If you're someone who overthinks every interaction that you have on your walk back home after having a conversation, then this video is made specifically for you. And the reason that I'm making this video is that used to be me. I used to be the kind of person who would overthink every interaction I'd had throughout the day and just think about what other people are thinking about me. Now, although at secondary school I had a great relationship with my parents and I had good friends, I was definitely not the popular kid. I was the skinny fat Indian guy who was working hard on his studies, which definitely wasn't considered cool at the time. I wasn't good at any traditional sports, and the last word I would use to describe myself in that situation would have been confident. And the reason I start with all of this is because times have changed since then. I feel a lot more comfortable in my own skin, and overall I feel like I care a lot less about what other people think. And I know that that's a strong statement to make, but if any of those descriptions even remotely matches you, then give me the next few minutes and I'll try and share with you exactly how my mindset shifted. Now, as someone who'd been a people pleaser for essentially my whole life, even into the start of university, there was a huge mindset shift that needed to happen. And I think there were three main things that gradually contributed to this huge change that happened over time. Now, first and foremost, it was the pure realization that not everyone is going to like you. And now this is something that's mentioned in this book, The Courage to Be Disliked. And if you haven't read this book, it's absolutely amazing. And it did genuinely change my mind. So definitely give this a read. But otherwise, this realization that not everyone liked you came from two main instances. Firstly, as someone who was making content during that summer between year 13 and uni, I started to see a few hate comments that kept cropping up on my videos. And when I evaluated what I was doing and to see if there was any problems with what I was creating, I realized that I was just posting stuff that I enjoyed and I wanted to share and I wanted to provide that value. And I think I was doing that through the content that I was posting. So the problem wasn't actually with me, it was just that people didn't perceive what I was doing as something that was useful to them. And especially with the internet and when people are anonymous, people make it very clear that they don't like the stuff that you're posting. And then as a result, I started to realize like, wait, I'm putting stuff out there that I enjoy and stuff that I think is useful, but still there are people out there that don't like it. And that's just how it is. And now the second anecdote that really consolidated this idea that not everyone's gonna like you actually happened at the start of uni. So one night during Freshers Week, a big group of us went out, and this was the one night that I wasn't drinking. And long story short, there was one person who took it a little bit beyond their limits, and essentially we had to bring them back to their accom. And of course, myself and one of my best friends took responsibility since we were sober, and also we just wanted to help out because this person's stranded in the middle of London. So obviously we had to cut our night short, pay for Ubers, and overall make sure everything was okay before going to bed. And now this chapter is complete and I'm like, okay, that's all good. And 3 weeks later, I find out that this same person has called me pretentious. And through this people-pleasing personality I developed through secondary school, my first reaction was, oh my God, like, what have I done wrong? Why would they think that? And then I was like, wait, hold on a minute. I acted in the best way that I possibly could. I was kind and made sure that someone was safe. And after that, they called me pretentious. And this was my final straw and personal experience where I realized that not everyone is going to have a positive opinion about you, no matter how hard you try or no matter what you do. So probably the best thing to do would be to come to terms with that idea and move on anyways. Now, the second part of this mindset shift from people pleaser to not caring as much about what people think was the fact that I had security in my friends and family. Through the first few weeks of uni, I actually found my closest friends at uni who I'm still best friends with to this day. And also I actually got closer with my home friends as well. And beyond that, as I mentioned previously, I was always very close to my parents as well. So I always knew I had this network and close circle of people that I could rely on. And I think that certainty in itself is so empowering because it means that even if other people don't like you, you know that you have these few people who will most definitely support you and make sure that you know if you're making a mistake, but still love you regardless. And that lets me move on quite swiftly onto this final point, and I do genuinely believe this is the most important part of this video. Through these experiences and reflecting on my own interactions with people, I've started to develop my own worldview. And over time, I've started to think about the attributes and values that are truly core to me and that I value in other people. Now, for me personally, those are honesty and a willingness to communicate and improve. And the reason I bring this up is because authenticity, honesty, and communication all encompass the same idea, which is the fact that you want to be the best and truest version of yourself at all times. And I truly believe that I want to be that person. And as a result, if my actions don't result in the best possible feedback from these people, it means that I can change for next time, or at least evaluate whether I want to hang out with those people again. But this is where the shift comes and the overthinking stops. The reason we're overthinking about what people think is because we have some uncertainty as to whether we acted in the right way. But for me, because I'm acting in the best possible way for that situation at all times, I don't need to overthink because I'm pleased with the way that I've acted until someone has proven that otherwise. And of course, if someone comes up to me and they say, look, mate, that joke wasn't really appropriate for that situation, I'm going to take that feedback on. But until I get that feedback, there's no point in overthinking because you're just making things up in your own head. And in reality, there's nothing fruitful that comes by being in your own head about these situations. And now finally, to hone in on a very, very important point, although this video is all about caring less about what other people think, that doesn't mean an unwillingness to improve and adapt. It just means that we don't catastrophize in our own head about interactions that we've had, but also have the humility to say, well, okay, next time I'm going to act differently because this person didn't like the way that I acted. Or just saying, you know what, this person's opinion doesn't matter to me because not everyone is going to like me anyway. So that leads me on to the final message of this video. There will always be people that don't like you, and there will also be situations where you wish you acted differently. But in either case, overthinking isn't going to help. The best thing to do is to change your actions the next time around and to be more resilient around negativity. Now, obviously, the only time you're going to really know if you've cracked it is the next time you catch yourself in a situation and whether you overthink afterwards. But when you do find yourself overthinking, if you know that you're trying your best to be the best version of you on the inside, why should it matter what other people think?